Hi, me again. This time we're going to go through a threefer because these things are not really directly related, but they're sort of interrelated, and I thought I'd try to get these out here. Most of them are about finances and ideology, um, and two of them are actually from the same person. First off, we're going to go to Atiyah. Atiyah is the gentleman who was asking about my take on Islam, and he had a follow-up question that I thought was actually kind of pertinent. And that's if I don't agree with Thunderfoot's stance, why do I still like his videos and have him as a friend on my on my channel? The thing about that is um, here's the thing. I don't agree with everybody. Well, I don't agree with everybody on my friends list. In fact, I don't agree with anybody all the time. If I agreed with someone lockstep, every opinion that they had, my first thought was that they were lying to me. Simply because people don't agree that often. In terms of my thoughts on Thunderfoot, Thunderfoot is a remarkably eloquent, uh, just wonderful thinker. And he can be a little bit full of himself sometimes, but then again, so can I, and so can everybody else. But the thing is I don't think he's ever full of himself without a rational reason. In terms of his views toward Muslims, you have to contextualize that. Think of the time that he lives in, where he lives, and the things that he's seen that probably plays in with that. Um, in terms of who I agree with, if you go through my friends list, uh, I'm not the only atheist on there, and I'm also not the only one who doesn't think that a religion should be eradicated. I think it should be outmoded, but it should be outmoded by choice. The idea being, I respect everyone's First Amendment right to choose what they want. And from an intellectual standpoint, I can see how some people wouldn't. The idea being that I don't see the need to come out swords rattling unless someone directly challenges me. That may sound weak, but you also have to factor in when there are situations where people need to be addressed. Usually, by the time I get around to even thinking about doing it, someone a lot more eloquent than me and a lot more knowledgeable than me has already addressed it. For this, I mean, if we were talking about physics, I would go to, if you need to debunk something on a physics basis, look to Thunderfoot. Thunderfoot actually knows this stuff backwards and forwards. He freaking teaches it, for God's sake. Um, in terms of morality and philosophy, I would go to like Tool Time or DPR Jones. In terms of just straight informational content, I would probably recommend, let's see, for informational content, um, Great Big Bore actually has a commentary series where it seems like he'll read a book and chapter by chapter give you his take on it, and that's really kind of great because that encourages me to read the book. So, it whets my palate for what he's talking about. And not to be left out for just really accessible, two-dimensional kind of things. There are a lot of other people out there, but you may notice that there's a trend. A lot of these are talking head videos. Oh, and of course, if it goes down to paleontology, Arun Ra is hands down the winner in my opinion, just because he'll throw out 92 scientific facts and then a little jab in there too. Um, so that's why I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater when I don't agree with someone. When someone does something that I think is wrong, I'll disagree with it and I'll send them a note, put a comment up on their video or something like that. If I feel really strongly about it, sure, I'll go ahead and, you know, put a response video, but I haven't felt that strongly about it yet. I just don't see the point in that point feeding the bears, because then the bear comes back. Um, Next one that I got was also from Atiyah, which is, if you have a sponsor, why are your videos so cheap? My videos are admittedly cheap. I go through Manycam, which is actually a video splitter for my webcam, and I put a negative filter on it. With the exception of when I do pop-ups, that's just me creating a graphic and feeding individual images through Manycam. Very cheap. The reason is because I like the talking head style. In my opinion, the master of the talking head style videos would be like, I'd have to go with Tool Time on that, and that's not actually his full name on YouTube. It's but it's the only one before it starts getting into letters, and I do tend to abbreviate people that way. It's actually Tooltime 9901 if you want to take a look at his stuff. I'll be happy to put some links to these channels in the description on this, but um, yeah, he seems to riff as well. He'll just go ahead and talk into the camera. I don't get the feeling that a lot of it's pre-prepared. It feels like a conversation, and it feels like a very informed one. And if you get a chance to go to his channel, I would also recommend checking out his photography and some of the movies that he's made. He's really quite funny, and he does have a tendency to make joke videos as well, so it's really cool. You get the whole thing. But I like the talking head when it feels like someone's talking to you. It's very social. So, yeah, I lean toward cheat because I don't want the emphasis to be me. I don't want the emphasis to be the cool picture that I put up. I want the emphasis to be the question that I was asked and the answer that I give. And again, the answer that I give is far from definitive in most cases. If it comes down to taxonomy, that's where there's a right and wrong answer. If it comes down to, what do these two phrases mean? That's pretty much the accepted right answer. But in general, the idea is for this to whet your palate. You want to leave them wanting more a little bit. Because if when I'm done with this, if you want to find out more, this is a 15-minute video clip at most. Because I try to keep them under that. I don't go through something else and upload them. But just the idea of someone going away from this and then punching into Google or Yahoo and trying to find out more information, that's the most awesome thing I could hope for. And the last one that I got also from an anonymous source is, are you e-begging and what is your take on e-begging? First off, I don't call it e-begging. E-begging is where someone is a terminology that people like to use for someone who says, "Hey, these are expensive. I have a donation page? Could someone go there?" I don't view that as begging. I view that as like almost like public television. If you like it, go ahead and donate something to it. And usually what you have is if people throw out a couple of bucks each, then it comes out in the wash and everybody gets to have a little bit more what they like. I do like the concept that Tooltime was throwing out recently about having a network of people with skills. It's under his donating skill video. I'll put a link to that in the description as well. But the idea being that everybody could chip in just a little bit of talent rather than money. That way you get people who are really good at what they do impacting it over. I also need to point out that in terms of that, I do feel a little bit guilty because since I am one of the owners of our sponsor, I can make our sponsorship permanent as long as the business is open. And uh, I see people who are so much better than me throwing out really high quality videos while I'm sitting here on a negative filter and all the work actually goes into researching the answers. And with that, I would encourage anyone who is thinking about the possibility of sponsorship. Thunderfoot actually pointed out that advertising on a YouTube video isn't really effective because of the return involved. Don't bet on that because the thing is like I can honestly see some businesses, not just the one I own, but some businesses would actually say that's an important service. I want my name associated with that. And with some of the videos, they can get a little bit controversial, but I've actually had people ask me how they can donate individually to have, I want to donate so I'm the sponsor of one of your videos. It's an individual. There are always answers, and whether the final answer turns out to be, putting up a donation page or getting someone to say, hey, and at the end of your video, if you could just show my business logo and my link, I think there are more people out there who would be into that than you think. And for people to call it begging, begging is where you don't give anything back. And anyone who says my videos don't give anything back, they're really either understating themselves or they are not really thinking about the impact that they have on the community. I've just recently gotten my first DMCA, false DMCA warning, and fortunately I just got the warning and then YouTube reversed on it. So I've actually taken the step of starting to make a lot of friends, or trying to, in terms of getting more support that way. But the difference between e-begging and taking donations is quite clear. You're supplying something back. You have something that's in demand, and it does cost money to do these. A lot of time, a lot of money in some cases, and it's something where I can definitely see why they would do that. That being the case, it's something where I really don't judge what other people do. If I don't agree with your videos, I'm not going to donate to it. If I do, I might. If it comes down to skill, I'm going to try to figure out what kind of skill I can throw into the pile to make it better. My only concern with Tool Time's thought of everybody donating a skill that they're good at is there's a loss of unity in the creative process sometimes, because that might actually add at least to the time involved. Although becomes more of a community effort and everybody has a hand in it, that can actually turn into something that'll dilute the actual message being brought out. And that would be my only concern with it. But in its essence, it's a really, really good idea. Now, as a personal comment, I do need to, um, I really do need to ask everybody to view one video in particular. And it's by Arun Ra, and it goes into the Orwellian censorship going on in Texas right now. And a lot of times with that, I think of people screaming 1984, and 9 out of 10 times it's utter bullshit. In this particular case, it's not. Um, because I know how business works. And I've worked with people in the educational field, and I can vouch for the fact that if a really big textbook buyer says, I don't want this and this and this in the book, then what the textbook will do a textbook company will do is put out the lowest common denominator and then change it when they need to, rather than hire extra teams to do different books. So I'm going to put a link about that censorship on there. I'm not even going to comment on it, but I am going to remind everybody there is a petition in there that I would like you to sign if you feel so inclined. I'm not going to try to influence your decision on it, but I'm going to ask if you feel strongly about it, sign the petition, because even if you don't live in Texas, it could make a difference. Um, with all that being said and all the talk about sponsors, our sponsor is an adult toy company, which makes it sort of dicey. But this is something that's supposed to be for everybody. And I view it as the same thing as having condom commercials on TV. I don't think that this is an adult program. But anyway, our sponsor is adultenvy.com. Adultenvy.com. See, it's my own company. I mess it up. Exoticenvy.com. Sorry, I'm multitasking in my brain. It's exoticenvy.com, and it's a low markup adult toy company. If you are so interested and are over 18, go over, take a look, see what we have. If you're not, just enjoy the video. That being said, you guys have a great day. Bye.